Hello, Aries. Welcome. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a general reading for whom you're dealing with. Of course, everything may not resonate, so take what does and leave the rest. And for more tarot readings after this, please check out my wife's channel and about the 3 tarot sheet review as well. Thank you. All right, let's see what's going on. What is that? Okay. Okay. Huh. I'm not too sure what that's about. Okay, Aries, just kind of just jumping into this a little bit. I don't know why the first message that does come to mind is wallflower. They present themselves a little bit kind of like a wallflower. What I mean by that, if you're not too sure, it's someone who kind of likes to just hang out on kind of like the surroundings, whether it be literally against the wall or whether it just be on the outskirts, or they kind of, circle around. Um, just hanging around, just overall hanging around once again. Not too sure what they have in mind here, though, for the two of you. They present, it's sort of not necessarily qualities, but they kind of their own internal, it's kind of like their own internal world. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to wallflowers. Kind of like they kind of like to be on the outskirts, but there's so much going on with them that you might not know about or like be aware of, unless it's kind of like you walk over to them and like communicate and like, okay, what's going on? It's like start a conversation. Um, but when it comes to their own internal like dialogue and their own internal world, it's sort of like they're all over the place. They're all over the place. Whether they know what they're going after, whether they know what they want or not, I feel like that's where they're in the process of trying to like piece together and figure out for themselves. Hmm. So much energy going on, but not a whole lot going on. That's why I'm like, it's a little kind of hard to sense and read what actually is taking place, because for some reason, like what is it about them that they're just there's so much uncertainty. And I'm not going to say that this is like a lack of confidence, because it doesn't present itself that way. It just kind of unsure, like, uncertainty. 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 Like, like there's something personally going on with them. Like they're kind of like, yeah, well, why don't you just go out to the middle of the dance floor and dance with Aries? Why don't you just make a move? Why don't you just be like forward or direct? They're like, I don't know. Um, there's something going on within them that it feels like they're kind of holding themselves back at the same time. There's the Nine of Wands, as you can see that that's considered technically the wounded warrior, but off to the side. Once again, the emphasis of the message of like off to the side, like don't know. Like you ready to go back in and get back in there? It's like yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to show the card just because of the images, but literally, it's kind of like there's a party. Like, go hang out, go have fun, go enjoy yourself, get out. Like I said, like go out to the middle of the dance floor and have some fun. Like get in there. What are you waiting for? It's like it's like someone comes along, like a friend or something, and it just kind of shoves them and pushes them. It's like you need a little nudge. Um, hmm. I don't understand that. What is that going on with them? What is that? Hmm. Interesting. I'm not saying that they're like hard to read. It's just whatever that is, it's like something personal. Like once again, it's just something personal that they themselves are kind of like, well, they're just not. Hmm. It's like, nah, I just don't want to. It presents itself like, I just don't know if I want to be a part of the party. Hmm. Why does it seem and feel like, weird? And then that's the part that I'm talking about. They energetically present this like, even them to consider like moving forward, like kind of just like getting out there with you. They're like, I don't even want to do that. And it's like, well, they kind of just literally they kind of just want to hang out on the side, and that's kind of like what they present is like, I just kind of want to hang out over here. It's like, okay, so you like to admire the scene then. You may have, yeah, you're admiring the scene. Aries, you got someone admiring. You admiring. Okay, so what they're emphasizing is like they feel a little bit. I don't know. Once again, it's like they present themselves like cool cat, like they know they're calm, they're collected, they're good. But it's like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't buy it. I feel like it's kind of like a show. It's a presentation of like, you present yourself that way. There's a Five of Cups. Like I said, you kind of present yourself that way, but then at the same time, I don't. You know, that's what I was kind of wondering. There's something there that they don't really want to deal with. That's a little strange. They kind of, and there's the tower. They just kind of keep themselves at bay, at a distance. I don't know why. It's like imagine that like a wallflower, right? They kind of hang it on the side. It's kind of like away from the crowd, kind of like not necessarily a loner, not a loner. They're kind of saying, don't get it twisted, not a loner. There's kind of like, the person that's leaning against the wall, just kind of hanging out, doing their own thing. It's like, it is what it is. They just kind of like to do their own thing. They showed up. They showed up. They're there, but they're just kind of like, I don't want to be like in the mix. I don't want to be in the middle of this. I don't want to be the center of attention. It's interesting. It's like this dynamic of they don't want to be the center of attention, but they do want attention, a certain specific kind of attention from you. And it's like if they feel like if they're off to the distance and they're kind of like playing not necessarily hard to get, but they're kind of like, okay, who, like I said, who's the cool cat leaning against the wall, wanting people to approach them. And so that's what they're kind of emphasizing here, Aries, is apparently they're not playing hard to get. They're there. It's just they want you. It's almost like they want you to pursue them. They're like, no, there's like, what's that called? Like, nah, there's a tactic to there's a tactic to this. Like, I don't want, like I said, I don't want to be in the mix, even though they're there. Even though they're there, goodness gracious, I am looking at an energy that is just not good. Not good. Why? Why? It is what it is. It is what it is. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I'm looking at a contradiction. I'm looking at a contradiction. I'm gonna try and be nice with this one. I'm gonna try and be nice with this one. I don't understand this. Crosswatcher, please explain. I don't understand this. Um, One moment, Aries. The third card that does come out is the Seven of Swords. I'm trying to give them a bit of the doubt and look past that. The problem is it's coming up over here. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. It shows me like, okay, whatever the dynamic is, they do let things go. And they're like, okay, here we are. We're trying to figure out something. Me and Aries are trying to figure out something. And it seems like just go with the flow. They seem okay. And then all of a sudden it's like, click on this. And whatever this energy is, it is just, I gotta be honest, it feels like someone crying wolf. It's someone crying wolf. And that's the weird part is they're presenting themselves like they're the wolf. I don't get that. This is someone, like I said, someone on the outside, someone on the outskirts. They feel as like, okay, they're getting noticed. But for some reason, it's geez, it's not to the level or extent that they were looking for. Let's just say like they're on the side, they're on the wall. So I'm like picturing the scene in my head. They're on the wall, they're leaning there, they're acting cool, right? Unbothered, they're there, but they're like, cool, the cool kids. Um, they get a glance here and there. And it's like, okay, there's eye contact, and there's like this little smirk, and this little, like, okay, there's a moment. That's why that Five of Cups shows up. It was just a split second moment of like, recognition. There you are. Okay, we see you. You're cool. All right, cool. Party keeps on moving forward. And because it's not big enough of an impact, because it's not big enough of like, okay, it's not having the effect that they wanted, this is a fight or an argument or a conflict. This is like, well, then let me cause a scene. I showed up to this scene, but because I'm not getting the attention I wanted from the scene, let me create and cause my own scene to get Aries' attention. And then they're kind of like, okay, I feel better. It's like but they don't, because I'm also looking at temper, kind of like a kid throwing a tantrum. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, so you got the attention, but you didn't get all the attention. It's kind of like, why isn't it's weird? It's like this energy of like, why isn't there more about me, about me, about me? And it's like, the fuck you want? You want your bottle of pacifier? What you need? What you drinking? What's in your cup? Because what do you need? What do you need? That is like a pacifier energy. It's weird. They want to be, go figure, they want to be passive against the wall and hang out like a wallflower. But then when they get that kind of wallflower attention, then all of a sudden they throw a fucking fizzy or tizzy shit for it. Look at this, 8 of Cups. I don't give a fuck. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, they do though. They're like, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, then on their fucking merry way. That's what I was saying. On their merry way. That is so weird. You're dealing with a baby. Aries, you're dealing with a big baby. Oh my gosh. A baby. The baby. There's a Page of Pentacles on top of the deck. That's a baby. That's a baby energy. I don't understand that. That's baby. But the problem is that Seven of Swords, they're also sneaky. So heads up. That's kind of like you tell them, no, you can't have no candy this year for Halloween. They're like, and then you tell them no. And when you're not looking, they turn into like a little stewie. They go and, I don't know, steal some other kid's candy or some shit. That's crazy. That's baby energy. And once again, it's like this is so weird. You do show up, Aries. You're like, what? You notice. And once again, they're like, well, great. Now I got Aries' attention. And even then, once again, still they're just kind of like they're trying not to be in their feels about this and cry about this. But they like that worked to get your attention. It was all part of their plot and their strategy. They're like, okay, now moving forward, and it's like, okay. So when you don't get what you want from Aries, you throw a fucking tantrum. We're 8 years old again, Aries. We're 8 years old. Bye.